Hello, everybody. Sammy Zoss here. I am hailing from the balmy South Dakota in the direct middle of the United States. If you ever want to have a wonderful debate with me, let me know. I would love to debate to you where Central Time does, or where the Midwest does and does not start, and it does have to do with Central and Eastern time zones. Last year, I started my company's Zoss Collaborations, but more importantly, I am a member of the Fundraising AI Council and Advisory Council. And according to my totally unbiased research, I am the #1 fan of this summit, in case you were wondering. So, as your resident fundraising AI fangirl and self-appointed chief hype woman of any nonprofit trying to work to implement responsible and ethical AI, I do lots of fun things like working with Tim Lockey and the Human Stack as a co-host of AI for Anyone Live. Clearly, I don't know how to set up my background, so I'll be working on that. So next time you see me, it'll look better. Every Wednesday, I work with Tim to try out nonprofit tools in real time and occasionally break things so you don't have to. When I'm not nerding out on camera, I like to help good people do good things better. I help nonprofits and small businesses with smarter systems, telling better stories, and using AI without losing the human side of the work. I know you've been hanging out with us all day, so buckle up. I'm here to keep the energy going and make sure the innovation stage stays lively. I've got my Disney shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got all sorts of Magic Kingdom wonderfulness on it. I've got my my celebration air horn, and I hope I can live up to Mallory as your host for the rest of the summit. I'm gonna share my screen here in one moment. I'm so sorry. I'm so excited for the session that we have here in just a moment. It is Ralph and Sheryl Savage. Sorry, I have 8 million screens and I would love to pretend like I always know what I'm doing, but I don't. And here we go. Someday we'll get it. I'm like zooming across to see where I need to be. As I go, though, I do want to explain and introduce while I find the right, maybe I shouldn't have shared yet, huh? If y'all could give me some like, hey, it's not that bad in the recording or in the chat, that'd be dope, because clearly I need to redo this. But I'm going to get you to, I don't know how to slide to the sessions faster. So just tell me I'm not the worst, and that would be great. But really what I need is for you all to get super pumped for our next session. We've got Sheryl Savage and Ralph Massey, and they are presenting Smart, Safe, and Compliant, a practical approach to compliance for fundraisers, which I know is crazy important for all of us. So I really just want to give them a shout out. I'm just going to show you guys this part of it while you can you can sort of see what I'm working with here. So you can see Sheryl Savage is an AI first general counsel and innovative legal strategist with 20 years of experience advising companies from Fortune 100s to startups. She specializes in AI adoption, deployment, and compliance, and has served as an in-house counsel for 2 generative AI hardware companies. Crazy amounts of knowledge here with Sheryl. Ralph Massey is the managing member of Gallium, where he combines strategic thinking, risk expertise, and entrepreneurial leadership to deliver practical AI consulting solutions. With a diverse background across technology and operations, he helps organizations translate innovation into measurable results. Sound off in the chat, and let's give it up for Ralph and Sheryl. Thanks.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Ralph Massey, and I'm a managing member at Gallium Consulting. I'll be joined shortly by Sheryl Savage. She's a general counsel for Positron AI and on Gallium's advisory council. Together, we'll discuss safe and practical approaches for AI for fundraisers. Now, recent statistics show that almost 86% of nonprofits are exploring AI tools, but only 24% have a formal strategy. And a formal AI strategy is one of the building blocks of effective and compliant AI. If your use of AI tools is not compliant, your organization could be extremely exposed, which I'll discuss a bit later. Only 1 out of 4 nonprofits have implemented AI usage policies as early as 2025, which shows a large compliance gap. This is troublesome because the regulatory landscape is rapidly evolving, and 47% of fundraisers see AI as their biggest opportunity for digital fundraising. If that's the case, then compliance needs to be a major focus for all organizations considering AI implementation. To help you on your regulatory and compliance journey, today we'll be presenting on three major topics: adopting AI compliantly, which includes regulations, risks, and actionable steps, AI trends, and AI use cases with a compliance-first mindset and a risk prioritization framework.
Thanks, Ralph. Because we had panic backstage, I just want to make sure everybody can see my screen because we do actually have a presentation. I am working blindly off two computers. So awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction, Ralph. I cannot match the energy of our hosts. Primarily because I'm an in-house lawyer. So my job as an in-house lawyer is to make legal and compliance accessible, stripping back the legalese and providing action-oriented advice. And that's my goal here today as well. I'll provide you with essential information, frameworks, and practical tools to implement AI responsibly while effectively managing your compliance risks. Now, because AI compliance is a bit robust and can be overwhelming, today's presentation does contain a lot of information, but we've also created resources. Any questions that pop up, we will address at the end because I want to make sure everyone gets the information. And we do have a lounge where you can come afterwards and ask us any detailed questions that may apply to your specific use case. Okay, so let's start with the elephant in the room, privacy. Privacy laws and AI compliance are deeply interconnected, and here's why. Large language models used in generative AI require vast amounts of data, often containing personal information. Privacy laws require specific, legitimate legal basis for processing personal data. So AI use cases must meet these legal requirements. By the end of 2025, 16 US states will have comprehensive privacy laws. And the critical challenge for nonprofits is that these laws vary by scope and applicability. So, for example, some states like Iowa and Tennessee exempt nonprofits from privacy laws. But if you're sitting in Colorado, Delaware, Oregon, or New Jersey, there are few, if any, exceptions, thus requiring full compliance for your organization. But additional confusion can arise when these laws stretch beyond a state's border. Quite often, states impose the language of their privacy statute on persons or organizations that conduct business, market, or solicit donations to their residents. So while your organization may be headquartered in a state without a privacy law, you may find yourself subject to comprehensive privacy laws by virtue of your fundraising and marketing systems. So in addition to this maze of privacy laws, there's also AI-specific laws that could apply to your org. In 2025, every single state has introduced AI-specific regulation, with 38 of them adopting either resolutions or enacting that legislation, representing a significant acceleration in state AI governance across the country. And with the recent failure of the proposed federal moratorium, you will find that states are retaining full authority to continue regulating artificial intelligence. Now, I don't want to send you into a panic because there are different types of AI laws. And what I'm noticing is that legislation covers four main categories: high risk use of AI, digital replicas, deep fakes, and government use. And so while those laws are necessary and important, they're probably not applicable to your organization. So let's not panic, okay? But while most AI specific laws don't directly target nonprofits, they may indirectly target your fundraising efforts. So I noted on the screen or the slide here, the Utah legislation. Utah became the first US state to enact a broad consumer protection statute specifically governing AI. The bill's focus transparency and disclosure requirements of generative AI in consumer interactions. Similarly, the California AI Transparency Act requires, among other things, specific disclosures by organizations when content is AI generated. The result here, well, you may need to disclose if you're using AI for fundraising emails, social media posts, or donor communications. In addition to all these state requirements, there are also federal requirements, which I've noted on the slide. And lastly, you have the IRS requirements. Now, the IRS stance on AI remains in flux, and specific guidance for nonprofit use remains limited. And I'm happy to chat about that in our lounge in detail. But the too long don't read is organizations need to document AI governance policies, track related expenses carefully, and ensure that AI implementation, right, aligns with your tax exempt purpose. Because if it doesn't, you jeopardize that tax exempt status. So, in addition to state and federal laws, there are international laws that may apply to nonprofits in the US, given your fundraising and marketing strategy. In the interest of time, I'm only highlighting US law, but we've created a resource on EU regulation for your reference. And you can reference that in the sidebar. I believe they're listed there. And come to the lounge if you have any questions related to the European regulations. So, with varying state and federal laws and sparse agency guidelines, what are the prominent risks your organizations face with AI? So Ralph will walk you through those now.
Thanks, Sheryl. Now let's spend some time identifying the 5 critical AI risks facing nonprofits. Privacy. Data privacy violations represent the most immediate and costly risk for nonprofits implementing AI. Current statistics show nonprofits account for 6.3% of all reported data breaches. The average breach impacts approximately 19,000 individuals and costs nonprofits $2.8 million. To avoid these costly privacy breaches, you need to consider how to address the following: consent and data collection, training data exposure, and third-party supply chain vulnerabilities. Let's start with consent and data collection. When using AI to collect data, organizations need proper authorization. Too often, vendors collect personal identifiable information, PII, without proper authorization, or they repurpose data beyond its original intended use. The second potential data privacy breach involves training data memorization and exposure. AI uses large language models that are trained on information, also known as data sets. During training, LLMs can memorize and reproduce data containing PII. So what's the risk here? Both direct data exposure and sophisticated attacks that can extract PII from trained models. And lastly, we have third-party data supply chain vulnerabilities. Your privacy risks increase greatly when involving a third party. Third parties may have unknown collection methods, weak security controls, or questionable data history tracking. This creates uncertainty about data legitimacy and introduces security gaps where vendors can't verify proper consent or legal compliance. Attention and understanding of these 3 potential threats can greatly help your organization minimize exposure to data privacy violations. Now, the biggest risk involving ethics is algorithmic bias in fundraising targeting. The impact of algorithmic bias in fundraising targeting is the exclusion of underrepresented communities from charitable support and civic engagement. Research from the University of Southern California found that up to 38% of the facts used by AI tools contain bias. Biased algorithms prioritize historically favored donor demographics while systematically overlooking communities of color, lower income neighborhoods, and marginalized groups, reducing access to both charitable resources and fair participation, which results in discriminatory donor segmentation. Security is another major risk when implementing and deploying AI. Most nonprofits use third-party vendors to manage and process their AI data. Because of this, there are 3 security risks that organizations need to be aware of: data access and vulnerability, where vendors require broad access to sensitive organizational data with limited visibility into storage and usage practices. Supply chain risks, which form complex vendor dependencies and subcontractors that lead to multiple security failure points. And LLM security threats. These include extraction attacks and IP exposure when sharing sensitive data with vendors. These issues can lead to data breaches, competitive disadvantage, and regulatory violations for organizations using third-party AI services. When we talk about trust, we need to focus on the transparency gap. The transparency gap between organizational perception and stakeholder reality poses substantial trust risks. While 83% of nonprofits believe they're transparent about AI use, only 38% of users agree with this assessment. This disconnect matters financially. 31% of donors report that they would be less likely to donate to organizations who fail to clearly disclose their AI use. Alternatively, donors who feel informed are 3 times more likely to continue engagement. Now, earlier, Sheryl introduced you to the evolving legal and compliance landscape, which creates risks for all organizations. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to review those. If you'd like to better understand more of those risks, please access the legal and compliance resource that we have available for you. Now let's discuss how to mitigate those risks. Risk mitigation is a complex and ongoing organizational effort. The 3 mitigation practices on the screen can be applied to all of the risks that we've just identified. Now, while these 3 won't mitigate every risk, they're a great place to start, and they're policy, data protection, and transparency and accountability. One of the foundational requirements to mitigate risk is AI adoption is to create organizational AI policy. So let's discuss this. Your AI policy should focus on best practices, not specific tools, and it should be integral to how your organization works. When developing this policy, you should be focusing on taking a cross-functional team approach and making vendor vetting a priority. What's cross-functional approach? It means you need to make sure to include representatives from all departments of your organization. Your policy should also prioritize vendor selection by thoroughly vetting all AI vendors and detailing how you'll choose those vendors for AI software and third-party data suppliers. Next, you need to think about data protection. What are the measures we need to focus on for data protection? There's 3. Let's start with privacy by design. Process as little personal data as possible. Keep it secure and process only where there's a real need. The less personal data you process, the less exposed your organization will be, and it's as simple as that. Second, informed consent. Your organization has to clearly explain how you'll use PAI in your AI deployment. You need to communicate in plain language what data you're collecting, what your AI will do with it, and how long you'll retain it. Ensure that consent is genuine choice for users, not buried in fine print, and make it easy for them to withdraw their consent at any time. Some states even mandate this requirement. And lastly, there's data governance. Establish firm controls over which data the organization shares with third-party AI services. Remember that some of the biggest risks involve third-party AI service vendors. Familiarize yourself with their data collection methods and their security control, and make sure that they aren't putting you at risk. Even if your organization is compliant, theirs may not be, and you need to be conscious of that. Lastly, we have transparency and accountability. When considering this, focus on disclosure practices. What do I mean by this? Document and communicate your use of AI to internal and external audiences. Equally as important are accuracy safeguards. Create safeguards to reduce the risk of plagiarizing and fact-check AI-generated work against official sources. Lastly, have regular quarterly evaluations. Make sure to set aside time to review AI use, ensure it complies to your AI policy, and address any challenges to your organization. Now that I've outlined the ways you can mitigate risk, you can focus on your best use cases in AI adoption.
Thanks, Ralph. I saw a note in the chat. We understand that you would like us to break these slides down. We did not want to put together a 50 slide deck presentation. Sorry, that's a little hard to follow, but happy to put it together and add it as a legal resource. So for my hosts, by the way, for some reason, my screen share just went away, which I don't actually know how to fix. So I'm not, so the people that want more slides, now I don't have any, according to the AI fundraising platform. So I'm sorry about that. If oh great, but yeah, it is on, unfortunately, Chloe, but I cannot advance it. That's the problem that I'm experiencing. But we're going to go on unless someone could figure that out, but I'm not sure we can. So thanks, Ralph. I really appreciate it. Maybe your next, when you speak next, I'll try to figure it out. Let's talk about these use cases. So current adoption statistics show that 90% of nonprofits are leveraging AI for engagement and marketing, with 58% integrating AI into your communications platform. And that adoption reflects measurable returns. If I could show you my screen, would show you that on average, the nonprofits report a donation increase while using AI optimized forms. So how are your peers using AI? Thanks for the feedback on the slides. This slide would not have been helpful anyway. It is an AI robot that I use code, that it is coding, and I would show you the 3 ways that your peers are using AI. So most commonly, AI is used for content creation and administrative tasks, with 82% of nonprofits using AI informally for writing assistance. However, the untapped potential remains substantial. Only 12.8% of nonprofits are currently using predictive analytics, despite demonstrated returns of 12x ROI for properly targeted donor segments. See, AI can assist with smart prospect identification. It can help identify potential high impact donors who are most willing to give by processing wealth and philanthropic data to make predictions about giving likelihood. I'm not talking about filtering names and sending automatic emails. So I live in Vegas, so I'll put it in Vegas terms. Prospect identification is giving you the house edge. It's the mathematical advantage that gives you the greater odds of securing that donation. The Alzheimer's Association did this, increasing high-value prospect meetings by 49% using AI tools. And AI is king or queen of donor optimization. It can dynamically adjust suggested donor amounts based on real-time donor data, or optimize donor request timing or the amount. Now, the key finding across all implementations here is that organizations with formal AI implementation and governance save an average of $2.3 million annually in avoiding fines and incidents while achieving these financial benefits. So this suggests that the risk return calculation strongly favors adoption when coupled with the appropriate safeguards. So you have a compelling case for AI adoption. How do you adopt AI with a compliance first mindset? Shout out to Fundraising AI, actually. They have a great responsible AI framework. It provides the sector's first comprehensive implementation guide and contains 10 foundational tenets, actually, for compliance first approach. But I'm going to level this up. I wish I had my slide, but again, there's only 3 things on the slide. And I'm going to explain the 3 steps necessary for a compliance first implementation. Number 1, assess your organization's current state. This usually includes evaluating your capabilities across pillars like key strategy, data, technology, people, and governance. You also want to create an implementation roadmap that establishes your governance framework. This framework will set your organizational objectives and create a structure with assigned roles and responsibilities, and describe the ethical guidelines in your policies and procedures. Lastly, the third step would be to implement controls across your organization by creating an oversight structure with cross-functional teams. Useful controls contain robust risk management and compliance processes and foster a culture of responsibility through ongoing training and monitoring. See, in the end, the question isn't whether to implement AI, but how to do so in a way that upholds the trust essential to nonprofit success. So I'm going to try to pull up the last slide, and it is the action plan. So now that you've gone ahead and said, I want to implement AI, how do I do it with a compliance first mindset? Let's get started on your action plan.
Okay, now that you're ready to adapt AI in a safe and compliant manner, well, we'll get you started on the action plan. Now, while full deployment can take 12 to 18 months, we can get you started today with a 30-day action plan. In the first 10 days, you should establish your AI foundation by forming an AI governance team with IT, legal, and fundraising and program staff. Conduct an AI tool inventory and begin donor data mapping. In the next 10 days, focus on your organizational AI assessment. During this period, you should perform vendor risk assessments for your most used AI tools and applications. You should also review your existing privacy policies and donor agreements to ensure they accurately reflect your current AI practices. Lastly, identify your highest risk AI use cases during this period. In the final 10 days of your action plan, you should focus on policy development. If you don't have an AI usage policy, you should draft one. As Sheryl mentioned earlier, Fundraising AI has some great resources to assist you in this process. Next, focus on your vendors. Create vendor evaluation criteria and contract templates. Ensure that your contract templates describe what you expect from vendors as it relates to AI compliance. Lastly, develop a donor transparency communications plan. As we've learned, transparency to donors goes a long way in developing trust and establishing accountability. Hope you guys found our presentation informative and helpful despite the issues with the slides. Sheryl and I will now be taking some questions, so if you have any, please feel free to ask.
We're going to leave, Sheryl, I see it. If you want to leave that up for
yes,
folks while we do sort of like our end piece here, just given time constraints, we're going to have time to do Q&A during session. These 25-minute sessions are just jam-packed, and that's a great thing. I would rather there be tons of content. So thank you both so much. I mean, that was super incredible. And like, this is a very dense and like hard to follow topic, right? So don't negate the amount that you were able to communicate in quite literally 20 minutes. So everybody sound off on the chat, show some reactions, like make sure we send our love that way. Luckily, we do have a lounge for this group. I'm going to actually have I'm going to have Chloe here share our CTA for Gallium. So whether you're tackling AI assessments, wrestling with AI compliance issues, or navigating the AI implementation or deployment, Gallium brings the expertise you need with heart to understand why it matters. Sorry, I'm just messaging here, making sure I got the CTA coming up. You can email Gallium, and in the resources tab, you also have the exclusive discount for summit attendees. As we are moving on, make sure, as always, what did you think of the session? We want to know how you're enjoying the sessions and get your feedback to ensure we have the best experience at Fundraising AI. Plus, we love to pass on all the love to our sponsors and our speakers. We are so grateful. Hey, Chloe, can you throw up the Gallium consulting CTA quick so folks can, there we go. Down there in the corner, you can see that you can email Gallium. If you are looking sort of by the chat, there's this little document piece. That's where the resources that they discussed are. Those are some gold mines. So definitely check those out. Super excited. And thank you all. Don't forget to check out their lounge following this. And for those of you, especially those of you that had some Q&A here, head on over there and ask those questions, get some more in-depth responses. So moving on, we've got quite a few things coming up next. On the Amplify stage, we've got AI meets authenticity, creating social content that resonates. We've got Dana Snyder, Dmitry Kolchanov, Kate Myers-Emery, and Brady Josephson, all from amazing organizations to present some amazing content. On the innovation stage, we have 2 more presentations coming up in that time. We've got the rise of AI agents and nonprofit teams working smarter and fundraising better with Tim Paris, who is with one of our sponsors, Dataro. And then we've got I'm Your AI Project, Feminist AI in Latin America. I'm super pumped as a self-proclaimed feminist here. Ivana Feldfeber from Beta Genero is going to be presenting on that. And then on the impact stage, we've got It's Not Just the Tools, Why AI Feels Hard and What to Do About It, with our very own host, Mallory Erickson, and Kaz McGrath with Play, and Mina Das of Namaste Data. That is a killer group. You guys have some hard decisions ahead of you to figure out which session you want to go to. So get ready to join your next session. Remember, you can just click schedule in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see all of the sessions coming up, and you can join any of the sessions that are live. And that is all for this session. We are winding down, but some of the best is yet to come. Check out the schedule, and I'll be back here on the innovation stage. Enjoy the summit.